welcome back to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 64, and today's special episode is a return episode, and since we've been gone so long, we decided to up the ante a little bit. We actually have a triple dose of featured reviews. So the last month or so, 3 horror films came out in the theater. Theaters are back. We went and checked out all 3, and we're going to get to reviews on Spiral from the Book of Saw, A Quiet Place 2, and the newly released The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. And I'm one half of your hosting duo, podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania on this June 6, 2021. My name is JP, and joining me tonight out of southwest PA is Carly. What's going on? It's been a while.
Yes, I guess it has been a while. We've been, putting off pods. There's no other way to really put it. We just put them off. We were going to record this Wednesday, and I became sick and actually died. JP did not care at all. No, I just had, Arby's poisoning, I think.
I had COVID, and I still recorded a pod.
I didn't have that. I had actual death disease, so, I had, I needed to go to the ER. I asked JP. He told me to go screw myself, and I died. But I'm back again, and I'm never eating Arby's again, so screw you, Arby's. But, yeah, anyway, so we were supposed to record then. We did not, and then we both work, so it is hard. But now we are finally back recording on this lovely Sunday evening. It's very hot, hot as balls right now in my living room. I had a fan on. JP told me I'm not allowed to have fans, so now I am fanless and hot. And yeah, but other than that, I've been working. I've been watching a lot of the movies for the summer series for Duncan's podcast Under the Stairs, and that's kind of been what I've been up to. We just recorded a new Slumber Party Massacre as well recently, so that'll be out soon. That's fun. That show's going pretty well. But yeah, that's pretty much all. I don't really do too much in the whole podcasting world besides prep for giant shows like Duncan's or 22 Shots, which I seem to have wiggled my way out of this time. But yeah, that's kind of all I've been really doing lately. So what about you?
Well, I had COVID once. You had COVID once. We're both COVID survivors.
I never had COVID.
You just had it.
No, buddy, I had vomiting, diarrheal fever disease.
That's gross.
Yes,
You're nasty.
Well, that's what happens.
COVID.
No, buddy, stop. Come on.
What?
Didn't you talk for a while?
No, I'm texting, fighting with Mike Merriman.
I see that. Like, who cares what Mike Merriman and his stupid profile picture are saying? All right. Listen. But yeah, I hate when I see you in chats talking while we're recording. It's disrespectful to me because we're the only 2 on this pod, and I feel ignored. There you are again, saying more stuff in the chat.
Well, he's hating on Joker, and this is the thing. Everybody thinks I always argue. All I said was like, oh, I really liked Cruella. It was like a really good movie. It was kind of Joker light though. And then Mike Merriman says, well, Joker is Scorsese light. And that's what starts it. I didn't even, I was just giving my, you know what I mean? Like, I always get blamed for the one to be, like, arguing, but it's like, I was just talking about stuff that I liked.
Yeah, but Mike's not arguing either. He was just saying, you said something is something light, he said something is something light. And that could have been the end of it, but no.
This is Joker all the time. Look,
I know.
I was a hater of Joker. I thought everybody was like, when I saw the trailer, I was like, this movie's not anything special. Like, I don't know why everybody's going nuts about it. Or this movie's not going to be anything special. But then I watched it, and I was like, damn, that was a good movie.
Yeah, but I'm just saying Mike always hates on it, so I don't get why I even argue. Shut up! I don't get why I even argue with him when he's not going to change his mind. He's just going to keep saying stuff to get you all razzed up.
See, buddy, now people are going to know that you're near a train track by a river, and whenever they come to find your altar, you're going to be caught.
To find my what?
Altar.
that?
where you do satanic rituals. Did you watch The Move?
Oh, well, that's nothing to do, buddy. Like, I don't have an altar. No, but and also, buddy, we live in. I don't know if you know this, but no matter where you live in Pennsylvania, there is a river and train nearby. It's facts.
No, that's not facts.
Yeah, it is. Like, I have noticed. It's true. Like, there's a lot of rivers and trains nearby. But anyway, what were we saying? We were saying about...
Well, that's because every town we know is, like, built on the Mon River.
Yeah, like, my cousin lives by a train. She lives in a different town. It's like, it's just funny. But anyway, a lot of trains and rivers.
Yeah, so we've been gone for a little bit. Had a bit of a rough work schedule, and then you got COVID, so we had to...
I don't have COVID.
I know, you got
vaccine.
cured from it.
No, I have the vaccine. I didn't have COVID. I have, like, I was just dying of, like, throwing up disorder.
What is one of the symptoms of COVID? Throwing up.
Yeah, but I had it for also another symptom is you just have it forever. Like, it lasted for 2 days for me. I didn't lose taste or smell or whatever stupid stuff they say that you apparently lose. I didn't have, like, anything wrong with my nose or throat. It was just vomiting, and I also, well, I'm not going to get into the stuff I did, but I was going to say about a pill that I took that, you know, causes some complications sometimes. But anyway, that is gross, and I don't want to talk about it, and you guys can guess what that is. And
well, if you're not going to take credit for it, I will. I survived COVID.
Okay, yeah, you did, but you didn't really survive because you weren't in a major ordeal to begin with.
Do they have, like, those ribbons that they make for, like, breast cancer? Do they have one for COVID?
No, I feel like that would be kind of offensive.
I beat COVID's ass. COVID can't touch me.
Also, that's like, those ribbons I think are like for awareness, so it doesn't mean like I survived. That's not like surviving, it's just like awareness to the illness.
Well, are you aware I survived COVID?
Yeah, but you weren't like in the hospital dying of it, so... No,
it was super easy, barely even an inconvenience.
You screwed that up.
How did I screw it up?
You stuttered.
No, I didn't.
You tripped up.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it's alright, buddy. But anyway.
Yeah, I don't even think we ever told the listeners that I got diagnosed with COVID.
No, no, I don't think we did.
Yeah, I caught the COVID a while ago, but I was fine, so carry on.
Yeah.
And you got it, but you only had it for 2 days.
No, I ate Arby's. It was a moment of weakness. I ate Arby's after work.
Wait, just because you got COVID, you're not weak. It happens to a lot of people.
No, eating Arby's was the weakness.
Oh.
Because I was hungry, and, like, I just got a lot of food there, and, like, I ate it all, and then I was, like, sick about an hour later. And I just blame it on that, and then I lost, like, 5 pounds, and I didn't eat any, and I still don't even like food right now. Like, I just am very like, I'm afraid to eat anything, I think, because I'm afraid of being sick again.
Yeah, I was a nice person and gave you half of my sub, and you didn't even
I bought you. I bought you. Yeah, that was really nice, though. But yes, I'm having difficulties because it's like I don't trust the foods.
On another note, I freaking dropped my phone and cracked the screen.
Yeah, well, you're a dumbass. So, that note is closed. That is the solution. You're dumb. I'm sorry. And that's that. But you ordered a new phone.
Yeah, I did.
And how do you feel about that?
I'm happy. You know, it's probably my fault because the other night I was looking at my phone. I was like, I haven't got a phone in a couple years. Like, maybe I should get a new phone. And I was like, I don't feel like spending hundreds of dollars on a new phone. So I think I cursed myself. Ordered a new phone. I'm always excited when I get a new phone though, because like usually the screen's like a bigger size or like different size. Like this one's like got a wider screen. So I'm kind of like, I watch a lot of things on my phone, so I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, downloading Spotify and stuff like that. And this phone is supposed to have like a really good battery, like way better than mine. So, as you know, my phone's always dead.
That's also because you're fighting with people on chats all the time.
Well, mainly Mike Merriman.
Yeah. But anyway.
Anyway, yes. So, we're back. You know, we were gonna just record like 3 separate episodes on this, but we ain't got time to do that. So we're just gonna do a big catch-up show.
And then we're gonna put off more pods. Yay!
Yeah, we love putting off pods.
Yeah, it's just we're like tired. Like we work and we're tired, and it's hard.
It really, really has to do with us working different schedules. See what I did there? Just see what I did there?
Schedule. What move does that have to
we watched Cruella today as well, and they're all British.
It's Cruella.
Cruella?
Keep saying Cruella.
No, I'm not.
You're like forgetting the R. You're going Cruella.
Cruella.
Play it back. Tell me I'm not wrong. Or tell me I am wrong.
Yeah, you are
wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm saying tell me I'm wrong to the people.
But that movie's British. Like, all the people are British. It's set in London. And I noticed that Londoners say schedule. They would pronounce... Well, I don't know how... Schedule.
Schedule, yeah.
It's probably the right way to say it since they invented English, I think.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's always funny, like... hearing the British dialect. So anyway, we're back. We watched some things, we did some things, and we've been seeing the new movies that are coming out. Huge good news is Quiet Place made a ton of money at the box office. I mean, not a ton. Like, I saw people like kind of trashing it a little bit because I seen two things. Like, there's always gonna be the haters and detractors, right? Like, when the Saw numbers came out, they were like, you know, Saw opened with the worst, you know, opening weekend of the franchise's history, and it's like, well, no shit. I mean, half the theaters were closed. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's and it's like COVID, and like people still aren't doing things. You know what I mean? Like, they're starting to now, but I mean, just even a couple weeks ago, it was like less than now.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, it's not that. It's a tired franchise, so it makes sense. But at the same time, like, I don't think it was like a major flop considering. But Quiet Place came out and it did pretty big numbers. And Conjuring seems to be like pretty big for COVID. Like, obviously the first Quiet Place movie did like way better, but again, there was no restrictions when that came out and movies were hot. But if anything, it looks like The Conjuring's doing decent. So I think it's safe to say that horror is the savior of the box office. And I think it's safe to say that hopefully studios are like, all right, horror's hot right now. Horror's hot again. Let's roll. Like, because I don't know about you, but one of my favorite experiences was seeing It, Chapter 1 in the theater. And we know that movie, like, did, like, gangbusters and did some crazy numbers. And yeah. I love to see them succeed because it means we'll get more. And they'll do more. And you got to also think, Conjuring came out on HBO Max the day it was released. So you got to factor in that, you know, that's going to take away from some of the numbers. But I'm pretty happy. It gives me complete confidence that we'll see Candyman this year and Halloween Kills and anything else that was supposed to come out in theaters. I think we're going to get. And then next year, I think we'll be full force back to normal with theatrical releases. I mean, there was only a brief time for us where we weren't able to see movies theatrically because most of our theaters did like sort of open back up, even if it was like minor schedules. But you don't find me funny?
Yeah,
oh,
that's
thanks,
funny.
Buddy. It was like a delayed laugh. It was like so funny. You had to like think about it for a minute.
Yeah, it took me. Yeah, you're right. Okay, go on.
But so I'm happy about that. That gets me excited because the whole point of this podcast was to talk about the movies that came out theatrically.
Right, and yeah.
Yeah, we used to be weekly, but now we're kind of like whenever we can. So that's a little unfortunate. It definitely has curved my 2021 watches a little bit.
Yeah.
But hopefully we'll be. To be fair, like the biggest aspect of this is just work schedule. Like you've taken a new job and you now work longer on a lot of days than you used to. And
Yeah.
I pretty much can only record like 2 days a week. And one of them we're going to movies. And sometimes we get back and we don't feel like doing it. So it's unfortunate, but like we're not pod fading.
No, we're not. We're not going to abandon the pod as we did with NNC RIP.
No,
No. We're not bringing it back. I don't want to bring it back. We're done.
I actually was thinking the other day about bringing it back because George Romero's Amusement Park got released, which of course is the lost Romero film that is like finally out. Like, nobody ever seen it. It was made in the 70s, I believe.
Uh-huh.
So that's cool. And I kind of I was like, we should do a streaming episode. But no, we're probably not bringing back NNC.
Yeah.
It's really more of a time thing for us. Like, we could barely keep up with this one. But I do like covering streaming things, too. I haven't watched, like, any streaming things this year.
Yeah, me neither.
But anyway, I mean, let's kind of get into it because we got a longer show here today. We're doing what we watched. Do you remember the last thing that I talked about?
I wrote it down, but I'm scared to even say it because I know.
What was it?
2001 Maniacs.
Oh my god. Where's that at? Oh my god.
Funny.
Alright, dude. I'm gonna be really quick on these, okay?
Okay.
Alright. So, I was still finishing 2005. I watched Wolf Creek. Loved it. It's an amazing Australian backwoods type of movie. Mick Taylor is a super awesome villain, and that one did make my top 10 of 2005. If you haven't heard that show, definitely check it out. Then I watched Jennifer as well. Love that movie. Dario Argento's Masters of Horror episode. It is my favorite episode of the 2 seasons, and I think it's one of the Argento's like last, it's one of the best things he made post Stendhal syndrome. Then I watched House by the Cemetery, 1981. That, of course, was part of the Joe Bob Last Drive-In with Eli Roth was the guest, and that was a really fun episode. House by the Cemetery, when I first seen it, I was like, that movie kind of sucks, but it's kind of okay. But now I love it. Then I watched Beneath the Still Waters. This is a Brian Yuzna film. It really wasn't that good. That's from 2005 as well. Then I watched House of Wax, which was a 2005 movie that did make my top 10 list, and I think that movie is a lot underrated by today's point. I think that it's starting to get respect now, but it actually was one of the cooler remakes in that weird era of remakes. And it was originally supposed to be a Tourist Trap remake, which is interesting. Then I watched Dark Water, 2005, the remake. I actually kind of enjoyed that one. I do really like the original Dark Water, but I didn't have much of an issue. It could be because I watched the original so long ago that, it didn't bother me as much, but I know this one gets a lot of hate, but I enjoyed it. Then I watched 2005's American Haunting, and I thought that one was, it actually could have been really good, but I had some, like, major issues with it. I remember, like, the sound design just being, like, super annoying. Like, it was just way too prominent in the movie. Then I watched Chocolate, Homecoming, Dear Woman, and Cigarette Burns, which was all Masters of Horror episodes from 2005. Chocolate isn't very good. It's one of the worst episodes. Homecoming Chocolate was Garris's. Homecoming is Joe Dante's, I believe, and that one I always hated. And then, like, you could tell I grew up a lot because last time I watched it, I didn't know really anything about politics, and it's almost impossible not to nowadays. So I actually kind of appreciated the political nature of it. Then we have Dear Woman from John Landis. That one is actually pretty fun and good, and the lead is really stunning, the Dear Woman. Then we have Cigarette Burns, John Carpenter's flick. Oh wait, I said I watched Dear Woman, directed by John Landis.
Oh wait, that's the wrong reaction. I'm like,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Cigarette Burns, John Carpenter, kind of about a lost film. I like stuff like that. It was pretty good. Then we have Hostel 2005. Absolutely love it. One of the best movies of the decade for me, and it did make my top 10. Then we have Noriko's Dinner Table, which me and you watched together. We didn't pay the most attention to it. It's a Sign Sono film, kind of a sequel to Suicide Club. I thought it was good, but way too long. Then I watched... What's that?
I feel like you talked about some of these already.
Did I really?
Yeah. I feel like you already ran through the Masters of Horror on the last step.
Well, you should have told me that.
Well, I just noticed that you're like running. Like,
all right, well, I'm being fast with them, so sorry. We haven't done this in so long. We're a little confused on what we talked about. Tamara, 2005. That one's really a little underrated from 2005. I thought it was pretty fun. Then we have The Devil's Rejects. Obviously made my top 10. It was my number 1. And yeah, that movie is amazing. Then I watched War of the Worlds 2005. It was pretty good. I think that made somebody's top 10. But yeah, it's a good, alien invasion film. The Fog 2005. It sucks. Moving on. Noroi the Curse 2005. Really good. Did you watch that one?
Yeah, I watched that one. It was pretty good.
Yeah, really scary, man. There's a really scary scene at the end. Then we have Strange Circus 2005. Also made my top 10. That one is awesome. Sign Sono again. I liked it more this time watching it than when we covered it on the podcast. Skipping that one because we're going to talk about it later. Then I watched The Vampire Lovers 1970 because, well, 2005 is over and we move on to 1970. And this is a Hammer film. Have you ever seen this?
No.
It's some lesbian vampires. It's pretty good. I had seen it a long time ago, and I really loved it. I probably liked it a little bit less, honestly, this time, but I still think it's a pretty solid movie. And then I watched The Horror of Frankenstein from 1970. And I'm sorry, but we don't have like a Survive 05, what was run through 91. There's nothing that rhymes with 1970.
Find me a remedy for 1970.
No, because it's not a remedy.
I need a remedy for that type of year.
The Horror of Frankenstein 1970. I actually really liked this one. It was pretty cool. I thought that the guy that played Victor Frankenstein was a complete asshole, and he really I really like what he did with the character. The Frankenstein monster aspect of it is a little light, and I felt like the ending was a little anticlimactic, and sort of just like it ends and you're like, so I didn't really care for the ending too much, but I liked the movie. And then I started watching 2018 movies because of the summer series that is one of my years. We got Mandy from 2018. This is a movie that like everybody loves, but I just think it's good. Like I don't. It almost sounds like I don't like it when I talk about it, but it's only because I'm talking about how like I don't see why people love it as much. But I do like it. It is a really fun movie. It's very colorful and pretty to look at. Nick Cage is fun. It's violent and stuff like that. It's a good movie. I just don't think it's great. So yeah, Mandy. Then we have A Quiet Place, 2018. This is actually a film that did make my top 10 when it came out. But I always had like list maker remorse where I felt like, man, I don't think that would make my top 10 if I redid the list. And I don't know why that was. Maybe because it was like my instant reaction when in the theater was like I had so much fun with it, but then I thought like, oh, it's honestly, it might not be as good as I thought. I think I just had a lot of fun with it, and it's not as quality of a movie as I thought. But after watching it, I do think it's a really good movie. The relationship stuff is great between the father and daughter, and that girl is great in that movie. The little girl. You said she's deaf in real life.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible. She did such a fantastic job. I love John Krasinski. Big Office fan. Like most people, I love the Jim character, so he's cool as well. So then I watched The Final Countdown, 1980. I got a screener copy from Blue Underground on 4K. The Final Countdown is a film that essentially is sort of a like action sci-fi sort of thriller type movie where there is this Martin Sheen plays this character in it, and he's like overseeing this naval command thing. I forget the exact details because I did watch it a couple of weeks ago. But they're out in the ocean, and they essentially there's a big storm, and it's crazy, and it doesn't look like any type of storm anybody's ever seen. And essentially what happens is they go through a time rift, and they're back in the 1940s during World War II, right before the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. And they're kind of off the coast of Pearl Harbor, so they send some scouts in there to look at, because they lose all communication with everybody, because essentially the stuff they're using is on different frequencies and different things because it's, from the future. And they send some people, and Pearl Harbor's like it was in the 40s, and it doesn't look like it does in present day 80s. So they're kind of like, what the hell's going on? They eventually realize, like, oh, the Japanese are about to bomb Pearl Harbor, because they see them bomb like another little people out in the ocean who apparently was like some sort of important political figure that disappeared in real life. I did read that about the movie, and essentially there's this dilemma of, do they intervene? Because we all know that it ended up okay. Like Pearl Harbor, like after Pearl Harbor and World War II, obviously we won the war. We defeated the Nazis, and along with other allied countries and stuff. So like, if you intervene, does it change the future for the worse? Even though a lot of people are going to die in Pearl Harbor, and it's going to be this huge devastating thing, could it end up messing up the future more? So there's this dilemma, and I thought that aspect of the movie was really fun and interesting, but the only thing is, like, you don't get a lot of, it's mostly like talking and concepts. You don't get a lot of action in the movie, so it was a little bit of a letdown, like, because I do love the concept. I almost want to see like what would have happened both ways, you know what I mean, if they did something and if they didn't do something, like, I don't know. It's a good movie, but I didn't love it. The 4K is really good. It's very impressive, like Blue Underground usually does. The sound is awesome because there's all these airplanes and jets and stuff like that, and it's a loud movie. The colors are good. Like, the storm sequence was really cool. I think that it's a really good 4K Blu-ray. Not a movie that I would like seek out to buy, but if you like stuff like that, I think Dave said it best, Dave Parker. He said it's like your dad's type of movie, like something that you would walk in and your dad would be watching, or your friend's dad. And I completely agree. It's a perfect description of it. But yeah, Blue Underground, typically doing horror movies, but this one's kind of different. It actually feels like a very big movie too. Like, I mean, clearly there was a lot of money put into this film. But yeah, that's The Final Countdown. And Then I watched Maniac Cop on the last drive-in, and the guest was Bruce Campbell, of course, the star of Maniac Cop, alongside Robert Dazar, Tom motherfucking Atkins. There's a bunch of people in Maniac Cop. 1988. Have you ever seen Maniac Cop?
Yeah, but I haven't seen the sequels.
Maniac Cop's good. It's a good movie. It's actually kind of interesting to watch now. I haven't seen this movie in years, but of course we know about like the political nature of police and all the stuff that happened in the George Floyd incident and plenty of other incidents afterwards, and you know, the riots and things like that. So it's kind of almost like eerie watching it now, because it's about a rogue police officer who's killing people and everybody doesn't trust the police, and you're like, wow, it's a little too close to reality these days. But yeah, it's a great movie. You really love it. It actually, they could remake it now and it would be super relevant. I know there was talks years ago about one, but I don't think it ever came to fruition. Then I watched the Switchblade Sisters. This was a screener that I got from Arrow Video. I had seen this film, like, I had it on like a multi-pack or something. I think it might have been a bootleg, I'm not sure, but I had it years and years ago, like 10 years ago I think I watched it. But yeah, this is a weird movie. It's 1975, directed by Jack Hill. Of course, we know Jack Hill. You know Jack Hill, right?
Yep.
I felt like that was a fake yep.
No, I'm just saying, like, yep. Go on with your story, yep.
Have you ever seen Spider Baby, aka The Maddest Story Ever Told?
Yeah.
1967. You have seen that?
Yes.
He directed that.
Yeah, of course, I know.
Do you actually know Jack Hill?
No, but I've seen that move. I've seen that move.
Yeah. Coffee, which is a fantastic movie starring Pam Grier. Foxy Brown, which is also a classic blaxploitation film starring Pam Grier. And he did, you know, a handful of other exploitation films. He's sort of a known exploitation director. I've seen another one of his films, The Singing Cheerleaders, which came out right before Switchblade Sisters, which is just a weird movie about cheerleaders. The Big Bird Cage from 1972, which I watched for that. He's done a bunch of stuff, you know. He's done some horror, he's done some exploitation, he's done some you know, other type of movies. Another movie he directed, which he was uncredited for, it's a Roger Corman film. It is The Terror, which is considered, I think, a bad movie. I've actually never seen it, but it stars Jack Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
And Boris Karloff.
Yes.
Isn't it kind of weird to think Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff are old enough, like Jack Nicholson's old enough to have worked with Boris Karloff?
Yes, it is. I think I have that move on one of those packs that I bought at Dollar Tree.
Yeah, I think it might be a public domain movie. I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, Switchblade Sisters is a film. It's an exploitation film. It's about this girl who goes to school in high school, and like the town, it kind of reminds you of like Class of 1984-ish, where it's sort of this, you know, the youth is kind of took over a little bit and they kind of run things, and she becomes friends with these other girls who are the Silver Daggers, and they're the Silver Daggers are the male gang, and they're female counterparts of the Dagger Debs. And it's a gang movie, you know, and they get in trouble, they go to this jail, juvenile detention center, there's like a lesbian warden there, they get out. The lead of the male gang actually rapes the lead female that we're following, but it's like done in this really weird way, because it's like, it's almost like she doesn't care. It's very weird. It's very, very weird how it's done. But yeah, there's this other gang that comes into the school, and they got issues with the old gang, and then, you know, there's all these other gang members and stuff, and it's a high school gang movie. It's ridiculous. It can only exist in the 70s and maybe the 80s, but not like this. Like this way, it can only exist in the 70s. I don't love the movie. I think it's kind of really cheesy at times and stuff, but it's 70s cinema. It's likable. The transfer was good too, from Arrow Video there, and it was a fun watch. It was a nice revisit. Then we got Maniac Cop 2 from 1990. This was also part of the Last Drive-In double feature, and Maniac Cop 2 is a great sequel. I actually think it's a lot stronger from Maniac Cop 1. It's more supernatural, even though the first one kind of was. Robert Dazar is back. Zadar? Is it Zadar or Dazar? I think it's Zadar.
I think it's probably Lazar or Dar.
I'm not sure. And Bruce Campbell comes back very briefly. The thing I love about Maniac Cop 2 is like the insane fire stunt. There is an amazing fire stunt done in this film. It's like some of the best firework ever in cinema, in my opinion. And yeah, it's a great movie. I think that the aspect of adding in the other killer played by, what is his name? Is it like Leo or something like that? The other serial killer that's in the movie, he's really like steals the screen. And Leo Rossi, yeah, as Turkle. He's really cool. I think that people are crazy if they don't think Maniac Cop 2 is better than the first one, but that's just me. Of course, it has the classic tagline of you have the right to remain silent forever.
Yes.
And then we have Summer of 84, 2018, again with the 2018 movies. This was a great rewatch. I really enjoyed rewatching this one. This actually was a headliner for our Halloween movie marathon a couple of years ago. And it's always different watching with a group. But watching it like by myself and getting into the movie, really good. It gets very dark and mean-spirited at the end, which I just love. It's, of course, compared to like stuff like Stranger Things and It and Super 8 and, you know, Stand By Me, like the classic Stephen King type of vibe. It feels very heavily inspired by those types of films. The coming of age, like youth type movies.
Any movie that has a bunch of boys riding bicycles, basically.
That's actually a very good descriptor.
That's what I noticed.
Yeah, they all have that in common, right?
Yes.
But it gets very dark, and I like that. I only have one issue with like how the end plays out. Something in it didn't make sense, and it really bugs me. But yeah, Summer of 84, fantastic. Then we have Saw from 2004. I did decide to rewatch Saw after we watched Spiral from the book of Saw. And I love Saw. I think it's an absolute classic. I mean, you even like the first Saw, right?
Yeah, I like the first Saw.
Yeah, it's really not that graphic as the sequels are. You know, it's not as torturous as the sequels are. And that ending is still one of the best ever. I will say this. I've had Saw on DVD, I've had it on Blu-ray, and now I have it on 4K. And I've always thought the movie really never looked great. I think the first time I watched it was actually on VHS. Actually, I'm sure it was. I rented Saw and 28 Days Later on VHS. I don't think I had upgraded the DVD by 2000. No, I did in 2003. So I did upgrade, but I still think I rented new releases on VHS because they were cheaper. 2003 was when I upgraded the DVD. I remember because one of the first titles I bought was Texas Chainsaw, the remake, and Freddy vs. Jason, which I still have both of those DVDs to this day that I had originally. But yeah, Summer of 84, Saw, the 4K looks outstanding. It's never looked that good, and I love that about it. But yeah, it's a great movie. Then I watched Scream and Scream Again, which...
Buddy, hey buddy, why did you like Scream twice? You should be prepping for shows.
Shut up. I made that joke.
I'm funny.
It's like sort of an anthology film. It was done by Amicus, but it's not like a traditional anthology where it's like 3 segments. It's like you're following 3 different stories that you're going back and forth between, and they all sort of come together at the end. It's sort of known for starring Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, and Christopher Lee, but they don't really have... I think only 2 of them have screen time together, and it's kind of brief, and there's not a lot of screen time, between the 3. But the cover, the poster is really cool. It's like a skeleton in acid, but you don't really get that. You kind of do, but it's like not really. Someone falls into liquid, which is supposedly acid, but you don't really see anything, and that's unfortunate. It was okay. Like, I didn't think it was very good. I gave it a 6 out of 10, which I haven't rated anything. I don't know why I did now. And then I watched Satanis from the year 1970, and this was a documentary on the Church of Satan. It was interesting, but it really kind of like painted them in a bad light. Like, they just seemed like douchebags, and like one of the main points of the thing was like one dude wanted like a bigger penis, so he was like praying to Satan for it. So yeah. And then I watched The Clovehitch Killer 2018. This is a fantastic movie. I liked it. Man, these 2018 rewatches have been like phenomenal. Like, that was a hell of a year. And Clovehitch is so great, dude. Like, I love it. Did you watch Clovehitch?
Yeah.
Did it make your top 10?
I think it was like number 7 or something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, man.
On my list.
It was good, dude. It held up. It worked well. I thought that it was really good. And you know what though, man? It really reminded me of A Good Marriage, that Stephen King story.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, there was even aspects in the book, like in Clovehitch Killer, when the son thinks that his dad is a serial killer, and he kind of like finds proof, and he goes to the dad, and the dad like shifts blame to somebody. You still don't know if the dad's telling the truth or not. He shifts blame to the brother, the kid's uncle. I'm pretty sure in the story of A Good Marriage, like the novella, that happens in there too. Like, the dude shifts blame to his friend or something like that, in the same type of way, like that he covered it up for him and stuff. I almost would be shocked if the guy who directed Clovehitch or wrote it didn't read that story, because there's very big similarities.
Yeah.
And then the last one, I think I watched more stuff, but this will be the last one I talk about because I don't have them logged on Letterboxd, is Cam from 2018, which of course was like that Netflix film. It follows a sex worker who is a cam girl, and essentially her pressure that she puts on herself and her drive to be like number 1 in the rankings of cam girls on the site she works on. And basically something sort of weird happens, and she has to essentially figure out like who. Basically, there's like it's a doppelganger film, and she has to figure out like what's up with that. I love the cam girl stuff. I think they nailed like the whole tone of it and like the realism with that. And even I love this stuff about sort of what are you willing to do to be number 1. And sort of, it's not like it's about money for her, because we see that she has money. It's like her obsession with the fame of it, which is sort of interesting. It's an interesting commentary there. I liked it more than I expected to like it, even though I remember we reviewed that on NNC, and we both really liked it. We thought it was good. But I didn't see it as like top 12 of 2018 whenever we were doing the picks between the guys that were on that show. And I still don't feel that, because I feel like where the film really falls apart and it doesn't fall apart, it's just not as interesting, is when they get into the doppelganger stuff. I just feel like it's not interesting, and the way they handle it is not as, it's just not that good. So yeah, that's Cam, and that's it for me. I think I might have watched some other stuff though.
That's all right, buddy.
But that was fast, wasn't it?
It started out fast when you were naming all the stuff you already named before, and then you slowed down when you got to the millions that you still hadn't talked about. But yeah, sure.
No, I slowed down on a couple that I was reviewing because I got screener copies of them, and I wanted to do them justice.
I see. Okay, anyway.
How many
I shall
do you
go
have?
through. I'm not counting them a lot. Okay?
Why?
Because, buddy,
I didn't do a lot.
Yeah, you did. We put off. You did like 20 more that you already talked about before, plus like 40. Listen, like we put off the pod, and this is what we get. All right. All right. Anyway, first up, I watched Annabelle Creation from 2017. Because just like JP, I'm also going through my summer series moves, and Annabelle Creation is one of them. I think it's a solid horror movie. I think it has really good, effective jump scares in it. I dig the setting of it and the storyline. I think it's the best out of the, little Annabelle trilogy that you have in the Conjuring universe, and it's one that, again, it's still effective. It holds up. I still find it pretty creepy, and I like the characters, too. I like the little girls. I think that they are good actors, and it's just had a cool plot. I really dig Annabelle Creation, so that is that one. Then after that, I watched It Comes at Night 2017. This is one that blew JP and I away when we saw it. We saw it with a double feature with The Mummy, which did not blow us away. And we saw this one after, not really knowing what to expect. And we couldn't believe how good it was. This time around, I still think it's very, very good. I feel like it didn't have as big of an impact on me, which I kind of expected, I never really even planned to rewatch this movie because it was one of those things where I saw it in the theater and I was like, wow, I want to keep that moment forever. But, of course, I had to rewatch it for the show. And, like I said, it's still very good, amazing performances, very simple but effective plot. But it just didn't have the same impact, like I said, and it's just, one of those things where you see it once, you see how it all wraps up, and you're like, whoa, and then the second time around, it's just not the same, so, but I still rated it very high. It's still a solid watch, and people are stupid who ask what comes at night. After that, I watched An Evening of Edgar Allan Poe from 1970, and I watched this like right after we figured out that was going to be the next show, and then I got the boot from Brandon, and I was like, yay, I don't really have to watch these movies anymore.
No,
but anyway,
you
anything
weren't like yay, you were sad, and then you were like yay.
Yeah, now I'm like, yay, I don't have to watch these movies anymore. I was just sad because I wanted to be on the show for the fun of it, but I didn't feel like prepping for the show, because I like the crew, and I think they're fun. But actually doing the prep, I feel like, is going to make me miserable. But this was an easy one to watch anyway. I think it might be under an hour, and it's literally Vincent Price sitting in a chair. Not just sitting in a chair. He, changes positions and settings and clothes, but he reads off 4 Edgar Allan Poe stories. I think it was 4. And I can't even remember. One was The Pen and the Pendulum. One was, I believe, The Telltale Heart. And the other 2, I forget. They weren't as well. One was the cast of the John Arnaldo or whatever. The cask of the that one where he puts the guy in the wall.
I think it's like the cask of Amalfinado.
Yeah, something like that. And then
I used to say armadillo when I was in school reading that story.
You're stupid.
Fuck you.
But I think there was a 4th one as well, and I can't remember it. But anyway, it's literally just him being dramatic and reading it out loud and doing basically his own monologues like he's on a stage or something. And it's a cool concept, just because you wouldn't like, no one's going to get away with making a movie like that today. Like, no one's going to care enough to watch that. But Vincent Price was awesome. Awesome guy. I wish he would have been alive for my time because I would have loved to meet him. So, rip. But that was cool. Then after that, I watched Ma from 2019. Ma is a movie that I find very rewatchable, and I find the characters quite relatable in it, and I really dig it. It does have a few flaws, of course, unbelievability and conveniences and stuff like that, but I really like it. I just think it's a fun movie. I know some people are mixed on it, but it's one that's, like I said, is very rewatchable for me, and the characters really kind of sell me on it. I just think they're pretty relatable characters. Not necessarily for me, because I was a loser and didn't really party or anything, but they just seem like kids I would have known in high school, so I dig Ma. Then after that, I watched What We Do in the Shadows. Was over our friend Matt's a few weeks ago, and he said, what shall we watch? You know, him, his girlfriend, and our fiance now, and two of our other friends were there, and I was like, let's watch a horror comedy, and I picked this movie, and I was like, I don't know if everyone's going to really like it, but I thought it was hilarious, so I want to watch it. And we watched it, and I love What We Do in the Shadows. I give it a 10 out of 10 now. It is hilarious. The comedy just works for me so well, and everyone else seemed to actually enjoy it too. I was afraid they were going to be looking at me like, what the heck, but they were getting laughs out of it as well, so that was cool. But yeah, I give it a 10 out of 10 now. It's such a fun film. It's one of those ones that I would put on if I was in like a really bad mood. It would probably lift my mood, so. And that's a film I always avoided because I always thought it was going to suck, but I enjoy it. After that, I watched Pyewacket from 2017. You know, this is another really effective one. You know, a girl gets into witchcraft and wishes her mother dead and then regrets it, and then it seems like some stuff might start to happen. That it's kind of like a be careful what you wish for type of film, but it is done right, and it's very eerie and honestly quite depressing as well. So I really dig it. It always gives me the feels just for the main character and her regrets for being, you know, having a bad relationship with her mother and everything. So I enjoy Pyewacket. It is a good one. Then after that, I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which we will be talking about on Slumber Party Massacre, but I've said before I really enjoy it. It's a fun film. One of my favorites, you know, that's no surprise there, so we will talk about it on Slumber Party Massacre, and you guys could see what the other girls think of it. Then after that, I watched Super Dark Times 2017. Fantastic movie, very dark movie, so appropriate title. Another one where I think the characters are super relatable. Just very, it all just seems so realistic and so of the times. Some people think it doesn't feel like the 90s. I think the aesthetic is fine in it. And I just love these characters. I love the dark nature of it, and it's one that's definitely gone up for me even more so. So that is a good one. The only thing is some people might debate it's not horror enough, but we shall see. After that is The Killing of a Sacred Deer, again, 2017. And another one that I hadn't watched since watching it back then, because I thought it doesn't seem like something that I would want to rewatch, but surprisingly, this one really held up, and I might have even went higher on it. It's a strange movie. It wouldn't be for everyone. The dialogue is very sort of blunt. I don't even know how to really describe it. It's just very, like, yeah, I'm doing my homework now. Here's my vagina. Here's my, like, everyone just says stuff in a very monotone, matter-of-fact tone, and I don't really know why it's like that, but it makes the movie
It's because
intriguing.
the director is Greek, and he probably has a language barrier. At least that's my opinion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I guess
there's a language barrier in the script and how he directs.
But what would that have to do with the American people talking like that?
Because the way it's written and stuff, and probably the way he wants them to say it.
I don't even know how I would tell, like, people, hey, say it like this, like, in this stupid way. Like, I don't know, buddy. I don't know if
Do you not like that about it?
I do. Well, what, the idea that might be the issue?
No, like, do you not like that aspect of the film?
No, I like it. it's weird, but I think that's what, like, keeps me into it, because it's so ridiculously off-putting. So, I don't know. But, I mean, the plot itself is pretty disturbing as well, so that is also good. But yeah, it's definitely a weird one, but it's good stuff. Then after that, I watched Get Out from 2017, of course, and Get Out it's a good movie. Honestly, though, this time around, I wasn't really feeling it as much as I have in the past for some reason. For some reason, it didn't, I was kind of, like, not as into it. I don't know what it was, but it just kind of was like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I didn't see it as much of a masterpiece as I used to for whatever reason. But it's still good. I still rate it high. But I don't know. Maybe I've seen it one too many times, like, in recent time. But I'm not sure what is up with that. But that, that's Get Out. After that, I watched The Lighthouse. And The Lighthouse, I was dreading rewatching by myself because I thought I'm going to be bored by this and not get into it. Surprisingly, again, I'm kind of like you, where on these rewatches of these movies, I'm kind of going up on them a little bit, it seems like, and I was, like, afraid that wasn't going to happen, but The Lighthouse is a very well-done movie, very well shot, beautiful to look at, great acting, and honestly gets, kind of disturbing towards the end, so I definitely think it's a horror movie, and it's a good movie, but, it's just one of those ones that I probably wouldn't watch again. Like, I would watch The Witch again, but I would not watch this, I don't think, on my own, unless it was for a podcast.
What is it?
The Lighthouse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, I wouldn't feel like sitting down and curling up to The Lighthouse ever again, but it is a solid film. You can't deny that. After that, I watched Bliss, 2019, and this is one, again, that grew on me a little bit more, even though I did like it the first time, but it grew on me a tad bit more. I will say, like, I kind of understand why people are annoyed by the main character, because I had the subtitles on. It's just kind of funny. She says, like, fuck in every sentence multiple times, and especially when you're reading it on the screen, it's like, oh, here it comes again. Like, it does almost get to be a little bit much, and I didn't feel that way the first time around for some reason, but this time, like, she was kind of getting on my nerves with how much she did swear, because it seemed almost a little bit excessive, but other than that, I dig it. It's got a good story, and it's very, kind of to the point, and it's a sort of drug-induced nightmare style type of film, and I thought it's a fun ride, so Bliss, that's a good one. After that, I watched Satan's Slaves 2017, and this was a first-time watch for me. It was one that I remember was getting good reviews when it came out, but it was one that I missed out on, and I think it was one of those things where it was the end of the year, and this movie is, like, almost 2 hours long, and it was, like, crunch time on prepping, so I just kind of thought, I'll skip it. I didn't think Satan's Slaves sounded like an interesting title, but watching it, I was wrong. It's a very creepy film, and I liked it. It's one of those ones that has, again, jump scares that really work. I do this thing now where a jump scare comes on, and I literally go, oh! Like, by myself in my house. Like, it's not even ironic. It's not even, like, to be funny. It's like I actually make that fake scream when it happens. And that happened a lot in this movie. It's a creepy film. And I do recommend it if no one has seen it, because, like I said, it got past me for that year. And
have you listened to the new ABCs of Hidden Horror with Brian and Jamie?
No.
Well, they started a season 2 because they finished the original alphabet. Which was funny because they talk about how, like, they thought that, hey, 26 letters of the alphabet, there's 52 weeks in a year, they're bi-weekly, it'll probably take, like, a year, maybe a little bit more to do. And it was funny because Dave was like, you guys know when we started this? And it was literally, like, 2015.
Dude, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So it took them, like, 6 years to finish, which was just hilarious. But they started... I'm actually very happy that Jamie came back from, like, retirement
Yeah.
And they sort of they're like rebooting, not really rebooting, it's just they're continuing ABCs of Hidden Horror with just Brian and Jamie, probably because Dave has lots of commitments and he didn't back when they started originally, and he finished up the whole series there with them.
Yeah.
But they started the new one, and the first letter came out, which was A, and they have a new segment on there. The name of it's escaping me, but the new segment is like sort of a talking point, just like a thing in between the two main segments of the show where they just sort of talk. And they did a segment on like movies that scare them or scared them when they were growing up, or you know, whatever. And Jamie's really funny when she talks about like movies that scared her in like the night, like when she watched a certain movie. And it was like really taking me back to like all the times where I was like really scared of movies and things like that. But what you were talking about kind of reminded me of that. So shout out to them. Definitely check out the new, I believe they're calling it Bride of ABCs of Hidden Horror. And they're also continuing Colossal Collection on there. So the first episode that came out was like a mammoth, you know, it had the ABC segment, the new segment, and then the Colossal Collection segment, which is my favorite part. And that was it's really good. So definitely check it out if you guys haven't. And I suggest Carly you, because you'll be able to stay up to date on it, because it's only, I think, bi-weekly. So check it out, and you can catch it right from the beginning with the letter A.
Yeah, I'd always wanted, I actually never even checked out the original ABCs of Hidden Horror, and I've always wanted to, but I just haven't gotten to it, so I'll definitely try to start on their new show and see, because I'm sure I will like it, because I do like Jamie, and I've never actually heard, well, no, I've heard Brian on, like, guest spots, but not
Brian and Jamie are really funny together.
Yeah.
Like, they were talking about the Alien movies on the Colossal Collection segment, and like Brian loves aliens and Jamie doesn't, and it's like you could tell it like gets on his nerves a bit. And then like sometimes like she really likes a movie and he just thinks it's like kind of crap or you know, okay at best, and that's funny. But I love when Brian gets like kind of ranty on stuff.
Yeah.
He really cracks me. They're very good together, and I particularly love like when a movie annoys Brian. It's good stuff, dude. Definitely check it out. It's a good show.
All right. I shall do that. Now, to get on to my 15 other moves. Anyway. Yeah, Satan Slave's good move. After that, I watched Crawl 2019. And Crawl is a fun movie. We saw it in the theater, had a fun time with it. And it still is a pretty fun movie. But, you know, I don't know if I would necessarily consider it one of the best of the best. But I do think it's a fun time. A fun, I guess, creature-type film, if you want to call it that. Very unrealistic at times, of course. But it is a good time, and the characters are likable. You know, you're mainly following this girl and her dad the whole movie, and they're stuck in their house, and these creatures are coming at them, and there's a hurricane and everything. So, you know, a lot of good, like...
We had a lot of fun on that one when we saw that in the theater. Like, I don't think it's a great movie. Of course, Alexander Aja did that one. But it was really fun. And I actually just love, like, the hurricane setting, and I'm a sucker for killer alligator movies and, like, crocodiles and stuff, and it feels very, like, convenient at times, but it's just, like, you don't care because you're watching killer alligators, and it's sort of a spectacle type movie, you know, it's like a summer type of film. It's not super dead serious. I mean, it pretty much plays serious, but you don't yourself as an audience member don't take it overly serious.
Yeah.
I really like that movie. I think it in terms of like killer animal movies, it's like one of the best we've got in years.
Yeah, it's nice to see that it does take itself serious. I guess, too,
well,
with that
because
type
we're
of
so
thing.
used to, like, the stuff we watched during Shark Week.
Yes, which is coming up.
When is it, Shark Week? Is it July or is it August? I feel like it's August.
I think it's the beginning of August I think it's August.
Well, just to let you know, I picked up, like, a handful of new Shark movies for Shark Week, so I'm pretty excited.
Just to let you know, I have Tubi. But anyway. I'm just saying. Anyway, where was I? Alright, and I'll just run through okay, well, hold on, yeah. These 4 real quick, and that is, I watched Sleepaway Camp 1, 2, 3, and 4 as in Return to Sleepaway Camp, while I was sick, of Arby's poisoning. And, you know, Sleepaway Camp 1, we already saw. I watched these because it's something we're doing on Slumber Party Massacre, by the way, which I didn't even really have to watch the movies, but I thought, I'm sick, and I don't feel like watching anything that's, like, too serious, so I'll just watch.
Like summertime.
Yeah, so it was literally like the start of summer. But yeah, Sleepaway Camp, the first one, has become one of my favorite horror movies of all time at this point. And I love it, so I don't mind rewatching that multiple times in one year.
You watched it like 3 times in a calendar year. Yeah,
pretty much. But I don't regret it, because it's a great film. I love it. And then, you know, Sleepaway Camp 2, very, very cheesy, but, you know, it's weird, like, Sleepaway Camp 2 is kind of horror comedy, where you got the one-liners, and it's not trying to play it off as serious, but also I feel like the kills are very brutal in it, and, like, not funny at all. Like, that's what I always thought was weird about Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. Everyone's like, oh, they're so fun and funny, and it's like, I feel like they have some pretty, like, downbeat kills.
Yeah, they're, like, mean-spirited.
Yeah, they're not, like, funny. It's, like, actually pretty upsetting, so, but, I like part 2. You know, people love the sequels. Part 1's always been my favorite, though. It's hard to really compare. It almost feels like a totally different slasher set at camp, but it does try to keep the continuity, obviously, with Angela and, her backstory and everything, but I dig part 2, and I think they are inventive with the kills, so I appreciate that, and there are a lot of them, I have learned. And then going into part 3, again, like, there's a lot of kills in part 3 as well, but I think part 3 isn't as creative with the kills. She kind of just, like, stabs a lot of people to death, and that's kind of like it, or, you know, beats them. It's not as creative. Of course, you do have the lawnmower death and the flagpole death, but it's just, it seems like there's more bodies dead and everything, and I think you guys mentioned on your pod, like, when you guys covered this a long time ago, how
back in, like, 2013.
Yeah, like how the black dude keeps playing that rap music, and it's just, like, beats.
Yeah.
And it's, like, not actual, like, there's no words. And it's just so funny, because, like, there's that part where that white girl is, like, racist, and she, like, says something. She's like, we don't want to listen to your crappy music. Like, they're not saying anything worthwhile. And he's like, rap is art or something. And it's, like, there's not even words. It's just, like, like, he's not even listening to anything, but...
What year did Sleepaway Camp 2 come out? Like 89?
88, and then 89 was part 3. So 2 and 3 came out like a year.
Yeah, like something about like the portrayal of like black characters in the late 80s, early 90s, in terms of like hood kids. Is like, it's so funny because they're all like the same. Like, I always think of the movie Ticks, which came out in like 1990, which has Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and his name's Panic in the movie because he never does. And like, I always just think of like, that's like the quintessential like black, like rap listening character of the 90s in horror movies, and they all feel exactly the same.
Even like the young kids, like you know, the kid from People Under the Stairs, I feel like in Friday 5, like, feel like that type of character too, in a way. Like, just their...
Yeah.
It's like the way they talk, it's like they all have, like, this wit to them.
Oh, like with the, like, sucka and stuff like that?
Yeah, like, they all have to have, like, slang and stuff back then. It's weird, but...
Yeah, they're like, you know, they have, like, a street edge to them. But, I mean, I love Full. Like, Full is...
Yeah.
One of my favorite horror characters ever. Like, I mean, I watched People on the Stairs when I was, like, 5. And then, like, even at Fool's Age, you know, and it was like always so relatable. Like I loved his character, and I mean, you know how I feel about that movie. My number one of 1991.
Yes. All right, 3 more moves. Okay. Return to Sleepaway Camp 08 is awful. And it's sad
that bad.
It's awful.
I like it.
No, you don't. It's
yes,
horrible.
I do.
It's literally horrible, buddy.
How many do you have?
I have 2 more after this. I said that just now.
You said I have 4 more, and then you proceeded to list off 4 Sleepaway Camp moves.
I said I'm gonna list these 4 real quick, because they were a franchise. But anyway, Return to Sleepaway Camp, I feel like could have had a lot more potential, is my issue, because it had 3 cast members, the original cast, come back. And instead they were like, let's just put this annoying kid in it, and let's make all the actors horrible, and let's just make it look like shit.
I like it.
So, no.
Okay, let me ask you this. Sleepaway Camp 2 or 3?
2.
Okay, you're one of the smart ones.
Yeah.
I always felt like Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 were shot back to back, and they put all the money into Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yeah, there's definitely that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there was a quality drop in part 3, and you could definitely notice it when you watch them.
Mm-hmm. Alright, what is your last 2?
Alright, last 2, Depraved, 2019. It was a pretty cool movie. It was almost like a modern day sort of Frankenstein type John, if you want to call it that. But is it horror? I don't really know. It felt more like a tragic drama in a way, but I did think it was good.
This was the film that made 2019 instead of Us.
Every film made 2019 besides Us, buddy. But no, Depraved. Yeah, it did make the list. But it's one that I do feel it's like, is it really horror? I mean, it definitely has horror elements. It's like the idea behind it is horror enough, but. And towards the end, I guess it gets to that, but to me it's like, felt more dramatic than horrific or anything like that, but I definitely see the elements. Honestly, it's probably like more so horror, I don't know, than Super Dark Times is like horror in that it's dark, but then this one's horror in just what's going on. But
did Annabelle Comes Home make the list?
What year is that from? 2019?
Yeah.
No, it didn't. I don't think anyone mentioned that one either.
What about,
we're not talking about the 2019 list right now, dude. Let me just get on to my next one, please.
Just one more, just like real quick,
What?
I lost my train of thought.
Oh, it's such a great year. You don't even remember what movie you're going to say that's probably not on the list.
Oh, 47 Meters Down Uncaged.
What? No.
Oh.
That movie wasn't that good. Like, you think that should make the list?
It was amazing. Wait, no.
What?
I'm thinking of the first movie.
I was like, do you want the sequel of
No, that movie wasn't very good at all.
No, that movie was okay, but it was just okay. It was just like, alright. Which I think you're thinking of. I think you're mixing that up even with that No, not Blackwater.
What about Brightburn?
No. Listen, let's just move on. Can I get this last one, please? I need to go to Nizzle.
I'm so sad.
Why?
Brightburn didn't make it, and I love Brightburn.
It might have. Okay, let's just move on.
Did it make it?
I don't know. It didn't. Like, shut up, buddy, please. I'm getting annoyed by that. Like, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been talking mad shit.
I know. Like, shut up, everybody. Like, go screw all yourselves. Like, it's not my fault. Like, you get 2 picks. Everyone gets 2 picks. Like, my bad.
What'd you pick?
It doesn't matter.
No,
like,
seriously.
I have one more move to talk about.
Right.
Just one more. Tigers Are Not Afraid, 2017.
You picked that?
No!
Oh. What? Stop getting so mad.
Like,
silly?
No! I'm not being silly. No, call me silly is not going to calm me down, dude. Like, freaking Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Tires aren't?
Tigers Aren't Afraid is another movie that I watched from 2017. Not even 2019. And it's a good film. It's on Shudder. It's got very good kid acting. I think it's a little bit overrated, not gonna freaking lie. It's just depressing, and it's not one that I would feel like just being like, oh, I want to watch Tigers Are Not Afraid and see a bunch of kids live through a horrible life. That's like, I don't feel like watching that again. But it is good, like, great acting and I like the sort of setting. It almost reminds you of an apocalyptic video game setting at times. So there's that. But yeah, so that's all my movies. Let's move on.
All right, buddy. Well, I mean, you shouldn't beat yourself up like more than appropriately over your poor job on 2019.
I didn't do anything.
I know.
What was this? I'm not gonna no, buddy. I don't fight people.
Only when they get out of only when they road rage you.
Yeah, because you're in person. I have the time to get out of the whip and fight you.
All right, you guys are too susceptible to trolling.
No, we're not. You guys actually are mad about it.
We're not mad. We just think it's not right. But
like
it's
Jamie's
okay.
post was right. Like, you guys are, so serious about it.
Well, okay.
What?
I don't think we're so serious. It's just we spend a lot of time doing it, and we I mean, yeah, we take it serious.
Then you got this moron Duncan, who's the host. He's the one putting in moves that, shouldn't be in sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just saying, most of the time I'm trolling you guys, but at the same time, I do think it should have went in. It's not that I don't think it should have went in. And I think the drama of it, the crying about it, makes it more entertaining for listeners. So I play that up.
No. All right, well, go. Don't play it up to me. Play it up to somebody else.
All right. I mean, I agreed with Jamie's post mostly. It is for fun, and we're not, we're not supposed to, fucking, be upset that our pick didn't get in or anything like that. I mean, Insidious did make me pretty upset. And,
I agree, I agree with that, buddy. I'm just saying, I hate how everyone's like, oh, 2019 is, the only year that dropped the ball. Yeah, but, you got, everyone screwed up.
No. What, our year went perfect. What are you talking about? 2018 and 2015?
Didn't they not even put The Conjuring on either, or something? Wasn't there another year where they didn't put a movie on the...
Those two aren't mine, so I don't know.
I don't care about your... What? You're worried about my year, though.
Yeah, well, because it was the ball dropped year.
Yeah, well, worry about other people's ball dropped years.
I did. 2010's dude, no Insidious? Come on. I think that's way worse than us, in my opinion. But I think the problem with 2019 in particular was depraved. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of people that think that's a bad movie.
Now that I've watched it, I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just don't really think it's I agree. I don't think it's worth being mentioned on a top list, but I don't think it's bad.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It's okay. I mean, everybody. It's what makes this whole thing fun. If this didn't exist, if there wasn't people upset or my film didn't make it in or Jamie when Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula got bounced back in the 90s I think. If that didn't happen, it wouldn't be as entertaining of a experience. When the gloves come off and the gloves come on? Gloves come off? I don't know what the saying would be. Depends how you fight.
Yeah,
when that happens, it's really fun and entertaining, And of course, nobody wants to be the person that everybody's saying you messed up your year. So obviously you got a little defensive and stuff like that. But I don't think anybody's dead serious on it. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody's actually mad. I just think it's something that we're just bitching and complaining. It's fun, and that's how I have fun with it, and Jamie says you can't take it too serious or it won't be fun, and I agree with that too. But at the same time, I'm somebody that whenever I get really into something, I usually take it more serious than some people, and that is what's fun to me. But it's not for everybody.
Yeah, I'm not being defensive.
Okay, but seriously though, I mean, I think that most of the important Midsommar is probably the clear-cut favorite for 2019, and if that hadn't made it, then I would be more upset. You know what I mean? So it wasn't. I'm not saying you guys did a bad job. I'm just saying it. in like making fun of you guys.
Yeah, but you're coming at me twisted all the time.
Oh yeah, I come at you twisted all the time. Is that new?
And it's annoying because you keep saying, like, well, 2019. Like, you keep acting like I'm not on the year when you say that.
No,
it's, like,
I know
irritating.
you are. That's why I keep saying it.
Like, you keep saying that, like, you're like, 2019's really the talk of the chat. So I'm not in this chat that you guys all must have created where you're talking all this mad shit. But, like, fucking square up.
Whoa. All right, dog, chill out.
Like, what is it? The, like, ooh, the Saggins under the 2019 sucks chat? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Okay, can we move on, please? I need to go to Nizzle.
Okay, we're moving on. All right, so first up is Spiral, not the 2019 film, because that was better than Depraved. But we're talking about Spiral, the Book of Saw, which is the ninth, count 'em, ninth. How do you say that? Count 'em ninth.
Count 'em nine.
I messed up that.
Yeah, you didn't say that right.
Okay, way to point out my flaws.
You just said you messed up.
I can point out my flaws.
I point out your flaws.
I never would point out your flaws.
Dude, you point out every flaw I've ever had. I don't even have, even ones I don't think, like, are a thing, you, like, make up, say I have a flaw.
Spiral, the Book of Saw, was supposed to come out last year. This is the ninth Saw film. Even though it's technically a spin-off, people are calling it that, was marketed as that, but it really is a sequel in my opinion. It's basically, it's in the same universe. It's not a complete, like, yeah, I think it's a sequel. So if you go way back to 2004, and of course, these will be spoiler-free reviews, okay? Spoiler-free. Way back to 2004, Saw came out October 29th. 2004, and then every year up until 2010 we got a new Saw film around the Halloween season. Then we took, believe it or not, a 7-year break between Saw 3D and Jigsaw. So that's kind of crazy.
Yes.
Because this break has only been 4 years. That actually surprises me when I think about that. Like, we just got a new Saw 4 years ago. This one, Spiral, is the first Saw film to come out in not October. This is a summer film. This is May 14th. Now, it was supposed to come out last year, but of course COVID delayed it. But I believe the release date was still, was in the summer. So, kind of went away from the Halloween time. This film was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who, of course, was the director of the 3 films after the first film, so Saw 2, 3, and 4, and he actually returns, which I thought was a pretty interesting choice. You usually don't see that happen too often. You might see the creator come back, like James Wan or something, with like how Elm Street with Wes Craven's New Nightmare and things like that, and you might see that happen every once in a while, but usually like not the guy who directed like 2, 3, and 4 come back all those years later. This famously got picked up after, I believe, Chris Rock was at a party, like a Hollywood party, with one of the executives at Lionsgate, and he said, hey, I have an idea for a Saw film. Apparently Chris Rock is a pretty big Saw fan. I guess nobody really knew that. And that's literally how isn't it funny how certain people can try for years to get a budget for a movie, and then Chris Rock just walks in and he's like, hey, I got an idea for Saw, and they're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the 9th Saw film. It's called Spiral, from the Book of Saw. What is the plot on that?
Oh crap. Spiral, Book of Saw. It's a move starring Chris Rock. Okay, so working in the shadow of his father, Detective Zeke Banks, he didn't have to say Ezekiel, but whatever, and his rookie partner take charge in an investigation into grisly murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly entrapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game.
Yeah, so basically Chris Rock is sort of this, you know, go-getter, good cop in a land full of bad cops. And he's working undercover, and there's a history with him and the other officers in the precinct. Like, essentially, a lot of them are corrupt, and Chris Rock is like one of the only good guys left. And somebody starts doing Saw-esque murders, you know, traps. And they think it's a copycat, and he heads up the investigation. He gets a new partner, who also seems to be a good cop. And essentially, it's him trying to unravel the mystery of who the new Saw killer is. There are references to the original Saw film, which is always greatly appreciated for me. I think a lot of the things that people hated about Jigsaw was it didn't tie up any of the loose ends from the end of the original run of Saw films. This does not either, but it is not really intended to, because it's supposed to be another story set years down the road. Let's talk about this movie, and then we could talk about the future. So, the movie does have beats of comedy in it, which I had heard people say it was a comedy. It's not a comedy. It's just Chris Rock is kind of a funny guy, and it's almost like a crime not to incorporate that a little bit. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. He plays the father of Chris Rock, and Samuel L. is always funny and fun to watch. What do you want to say about this film? We watched it a while ago.
You know, I dug, like, the Chris Rock like, I did dig him as a main character. I thought he was okay.
He did feel a lot like Chris Rock, though. Like, he didn't really feel like another person, which is kind of a problem a little bit, but
I kind of like I kind of like his, like, comedic ways in the movie. I didn't think it was too overbearing, because people were acting like this was a pure comedy, and it's really just Chris Rock making a few one-liners, and that's, like, the gist of it. But there's aspects of the story that I liked. I like that it's a new idea, obviously, and everything.
But is it, though? That's the thing. I think that's a lot of people's complaint about it, is it doesn't feel new. It feels like we're retreading the same surface, but with just different people.
I guess. I just mean, like, I'm glad they didn't try to be like, and then it was actually blah, 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 blah. Like, I didn't try to do a big unraveling, like, Hoffman and everyone was actually involved all along type of thing at the end. It's, like, actually a spin-off. But, yeah, I mean, it is essentially the same story line when you think about it. But I did not like the new voice. Mm-hmm. I thought it was stupid. And
they changed obviously Tobin Bell's voice. I mean, I think they could. They probably didn't want to pay Tobin Bell, maybe, but like, I feel like they could have used the same voice, and you know, like in Scream, right? Like the Scream voice is the same in all of them, you know, and Billy died in the first one. It's because it's like a voice changer, and I mean, when you watch Saw, I feel like that's not just Tobin Bell talking. Like, I feel like it's distorted in a way. But, I mean, you have other unbelievable stuff in these type of movies, so, like, just say that, you know, it's a computer-generated, like, mimic of the Tobin Bell voice, you know? Mm-hmm. I think everybody would have accepted it, but I actually didn't mind the new voice. It's not as good, but they made it. They tried to make it different, so I would prefer different than trying to copy it and not be the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you there. It was, like, jarring. But I also feel that the traps were not that good either, and they're not explained, and they don't really make a whole lot of sense. And, you know, something else, I actually heard this I was listening to Cut to the Chase's retro of the series, and also just our thoughts on this movie. You, like, know, well, this might, like, spoil kind of.
Don't spoil.
I don't know if it would spoil. I mean, it's like
Spoil the traps?
I can't. Never mind. Just forget it. It's just like there's no element of surprise. Is like I guess what I'm gonna
Surprise with the reveal?
No, not with the review. Like the people, like, do they live? Don't they live? Do they live? Don't they live? Type of thing.
You mean like you're expecting them to fail in the trap? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. Because of the way the story's told.
The way that the story's told.
Basically, I don't know, like, do you remember, it's like you get...
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Alright, well, I don't want to keep saying stuff.
Okay, I mean, you can say stuff without spoiling it.
No, I can't. I don't know how. I don't know what a spoiler... I will never understand what a spoiler is versus... Like, I'm talking about the movie. The whole movie is a spoiler. Go watch it.
Well, no. Like, I mean, well, it's new. You don't... I don't like spoiling new movies. I've always been that way. Like...
No, I'm not saying... I'm saying I don't understand... Like, I just don't... Like, I feel like I'm revealing everything in a movie because technically...
You just
like,
don't want to talk about anything that you couldn't figure out on your own. Like, that you wouldn't just know already. You don't want to give specifics. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. Like, so, in all the Saw movies, is that not the case where you know, like, you have a feeling that the person's not going to get out of the trap?
There's you already know beforehand.
What you're saying is they find a body dead and then we see the trap.
Yes, you already know.
You can say that.
Why can I say that? Like, why am I allowed to say that?
That's
like,
not
I don't
a
understand.
spoiler.
Okay, fine. You fucking know, like, that you already see the clue.
You're getting so hostile over this.
I'm not getting hostile. Like, can I talk?
Yeah.
I'm just saying you already know what's going to happen, so it's, like, not even... You're just pretty much like, yeah, let's see this guy die, like, in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, but the problem is they do that in the first Saw. It's not like it's new. They've done that the entire time.
No, and I'm saying with every trap, though, in this move.
They don't do it with every trap in this move.
They do it with every trap in the move.
No, they don't.
Okay, never mind then.
Okay, okay. The first trap. We know he's dead before it happens?
Okay, I guess not that one.
Okay. What about the hot wax trap?
Okay, never mind then. I guess Lacey was wrong.
Yes, Lacey was wrong, buddy. But it brings up a point, right? And the point is that, like, because Dave said the ending completely surprised him. Did it surprise you? Like the reveal?
No, it didn't because, or wait. Yeah, no, it didn't. It didn't surprise me because of something that happened earlier in the move too. That
right.
like I thought made it obvious.
There is one, and the reason I bring this up, there's one death that they show, the body and then the person, and then what happens, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason they do that in this movie is to swerve you on something later.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. So I don't know where Lacey was coming up with this, like, that all the traps were like that. It was literally one. But it's not new either. Like, think about the first Saw film, right? Like, remember Amanda with the bear trap?
Yes, buddy.
Like, you talk to her, and then it flashes back to the trap, so you already know she survives. And then in the first Saw, they find the guy who burned to death, and they're like, this is what happened, and it flashes back and shows the trap. And what was the other one?
I know what she means. In this movie, I think, don't they like show the person in the trap, and then they cut to like a regular scene, and then they'll show like Chris Rock finding like their finger, and then it'll show the scene of them finishing.
That was the guy that got his fingers tore off. It was really the one.
Oh, okay.
But they do cut in the trap, like the wax trap, they cut back to Chris Rock trying to rescue the person in the wax trap, right? Like where he figures it out and he's like trying to find the person, and then it keeps cutting back and forth. But again, that's not giving anything away, though. You don't know how that's going to play out. It really is only the finger trap. And like I said, the reason that happened is because they want to swerve you later, right? There is one other one and this is almost touching spoiler territory. There's one other one that happens, and it has to do with something important in the movie. So it's the swerve you, and the swerve worked on Dave, but it didn't on me because I'm like, this seems out of place. I felt like the traps were very weak, design wise. Now it makes sense because I think Brian and Jamie brought this up in their Patreon only review. Jigsaw, Tobin Bell's character, was an engineer, so obviously he could build these traps a lot better than our new person, because as far as we know, they're not an engineer. But I just thought, like, it wasn't explained to the audience good enough. Like, okay, think about, and we all know that the traps vary in degrees of difficulty and survivability, and like how messed up you would be if, like, some of them, right, like, oh, kill this guy in a room and take the key out of his stomach. It's like, okay, that's not gonna be as bad as cut my eyeball out. You know what I mean? Or like, yeah. This one, it's like, be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of your life or die. And it's like, it's not really that hard of a choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And another thing with that particular one, the spinal cord trap, I'm like, how would the machine know if you severed your spinal cord?
Yeah.
Like, it was not explained at all. It doesn't make sense. I thought the finger trap was good. It was cool. I don't think it was designed overly well in terms of, like, the mechanics of it, but I like the concept. And then the wax trap I thought was the best one, because it actually, like, kind of upset me.
What about the glass one?
I thought that one sucked.
The one with the bottles?
Yeah, because all Chris Rock had to do was go knock the bottles off before they went, and, like, just sit on the conveyor belt, and no glass bottles are going to fall in the thing.
Yeah, well, buddy, sometimes you don't think about it.
Right, and you could make that excuse, well, he wasn't thinking he had to act fast and stuff, but I don't know, I just thought, it didn't seem like that would actually happen. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the shards of glass would spit out that fast and embed into your skin. I could be wrong. It just doesn't feel realistic to me. And to my final point on the, like, traps and stuff, the last one was, like, horrible to me. And the whole way that the ending played out did not make sense to me. I thought it was stupid. It actually kind of almost ruined the movie for me, because I was just like, none of this makes sense. Like, what was his plan here? Like, what did they like, what? Like, it didn't, like, what, if he chooses this, well, what's the outcome then? If he chooses this, what's the outcome then? Like, it just felt really dumb. It actually made the new guy look, or new girl, look very incompetent to me, and didn't feel as cool as Tobin Bell.
Yeah.
That was, like, my biggest issue with the movie, was how it plays out. And it was a little you expect something more because of how good some of the endings in Saw is, and it was just very basic. And I think that the police being corrupt thing is, like, super way too on the nose. It's like, yes, we get it. Police in America right now is a big problem. A lot of people think it's, you know, horrible. This movie is about corrupt cops and everybody's corrupt, and it just didn't, it didn't come off realistic at all. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, dude, there's no way that every single cop here is a complete piece of shit and is like a murderer. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't feel natural to me.
Yeah. I agree. I think it just kind of falls apart at the end, and that's, like, the more I thought about it, the more issues I kind of had with the movie. So I don't think it's great, but I still had a fun time with it. It's like, you know, people will say it's like a piece of shit, but I still at least got enjoyment out of it.
I think it's the second worst in the franchise, and I still liked it.
Yeah.
I put Jigsaw above it for sure. I put Saw 3D below it, and I think Spiral's second worst. But I still thought it was fun.
Yeah. I don't know where, it's been a while since watching Jigsaw, so I don't know if I would
We
like that
had
one.
a blast with Jigsaw. You know
Yeah.
you had more fun with Jigsaw than this.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So I will rate it a solid 6.5 out of 10.
All right. I think. I'm trying to think. I think I gave it like a 6 or a 6.5. I think I'll give it a 6.5 as well. Out of 10.
Actually, I meant to give it. I actually gave it a 6.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5 because I don't really like Saw moves, but I still enjoyed this Saw move.
All right, so that is our spoiler-free, which Carly does not understand how spoilers work. Review of Saw, just spiraled from the book of Saw. Why are you mad, Selden?
Cause
you're lashing out on me at this episode.
Yeah,
this is our big
I'm hot.
return, and
I know that's what the audience likes.
What, when you lash out on me?
Yeah.
No, the audience thinks that you're mean to me, and they're sympathetic towards me.
No, the audience is always like, oh, we love seeing Carly give JP shit for his bullshit.
For his bullshit? They don't think I have bullshit.
They know that I'm putting up with horrible stuff behind the scenes with you, and that you suck, and so they're like, yeah, Carly, get him.
No. They're like, man, poor JP, leave that guy alone. He's such a good dude.
No one has ever thought that about you.
Why are you laughing?
Because, no, like, that's not it. Like, people think you're horrible.
What? No, they don't.
Like, you're always that guy that people think is really mean. Like,
get out of here. All right, let's move on. So next up, we saw A Quiet Place 2. Now, this is a film that I totally didn't expect to exist because I was like, why would they make a sequel? I actually thought it would never happen, and it did happen, and we got it, and we loved A Quiet Place 1 when we saw it in the theater. It was really intense, right? Remember, it felt like everybody was scared to make a noise because it was such a quiet movie. But now we have Quiet Place 2, which did John Krasinski direct this one as well?
Yep, he did.
Oh, interesting. I didn't expect him to, but okay, he directed this one. It is a prequel and a sequel. The opening of the film is a prequel to the events that started this thing, and the rest of the film is a sequel to the events following the first film. So what is a plot synopsis on A Quiet Place 2?
Plot synopsis is, following the events at home, the Abbott family now face the terrors of the outside world. Forced to venture into the unknown, they realize that the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats that lurk beyond the sand path. Whatever.
So, this one stars Emily Blunt, the Millicent.
Yes.
Who is the teen deaf daughter.
Yes.
And I think the brother's the same too, right?
Yeah, all
yeah.
the same.
I feel bad. This little girl only got 3 roles in her entire filmography.
Oh.
And 2 of them are Quiet Place movies. That's kind of sad. She's really talented.
Yeah.
So yeah. It pretty much picks up. Now, this was a film that was supposed to come out in March last year. It was actually the film we were going to see right before they shut everything down.
Yep.
It was coming out Friday. It was like Wednesday, and they shut everything down. So, now that this finally came out, it really feels like we've moved on, which is nice. It picks up first of all, let's get into the early stuff, the prequel scene. Did you like that?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a great way to open the movie, and you sort of got an idea of like how this thing started and how this family survived it. And also you kind of get that sad moment too where you realize like that one kid that's with them is not going to be around too much longer.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, so then we get into like the present, and honestly, like, I was kind of annoyed because they completely disregard the end of the first movie.
Yeah, they don't really try with that. They're just like, yep, they lived, and then, okay, we're done. We're like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, did that annoy you?
It did. I wish I would have watched the first movie again just to, like, get a real feel for that. But, yeah, I remember the end of the first movie was like, there's no way they're getting out of this. How are they going to rate themselves out? And it's just, like, kind of...
It's like they ignore it.
Yeah, okay, they shot all of those things, I guess. I mean, granted, they have the whole hearing aid, I guess, trick at that point,
I almost
think.
wish they would have, like, done something else, like, oh, there was a backdoor passageway. Like, I almost wish they would have done something like that than ignored the whole thing, you know? That was kind of bullcrap, in my opinion. So, it honestly, like, and I hate to say this, but right away, I was kind of, like, shaking my head at the movie, annoyed. You know, stuff like that bothers me a lot. And I was like, man, they're ruining this already. It was such a cop-out.
Didn't you say the days were wrong, too?
I
or
thought
was that
the
a
days
mistake?
were wrong, too. I could be wrong, because I just watched the first film. It says, like, day something, and, like, I'm pretty sure that wasn't the day that they were on in the first film. So, I could be wrong, or it could be suggesting that they killed all those things, and then a couple of days had went past, and then they run out of supplies and they leave, or whatever. And that just happens off screen, which I would have been more okay if it happens off screen than just ignoring that it happened. But yeah. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and watch both and see the days. But anyway, they realize they have to leave this farm. And the mother and the two kids, now 3 kids, because of course she did just give birth. And that was another thing, like, the baby was still, I assume, newborn.
Yeah.
And so it would have had to happen right after the first film.
Yeah.
Even though in real life that baby doesn't look newborn at all. But babies rarely do in movies.
Right.
Because I don't think they can have a newborn baby on set.
Right. That's a little, that's a little much.
So they venture out and they run into this guy that they knew from the beginning of the movie, which made sense why they showed the beginning of the movie. And they essentially, you know, bunk up with him. The daughter realizes that, like, she needs to... They actually hear a frequency from a place, like a SOS. And the daughter wants to investigate it. The family doesn't, so she runs away and thinks she can save her family by investigating this thing. Meanwhile, we do know that she has figured out this ability of high-frequency sound waves to sort of stun the creatures. And she's trying to find this radio wave broadcast out on an island. And the friend of theirs, or the guy they knew, goes out to find her. And that's essentially the story of A Quiet Place 2. So what did you think about this one?
I thought it was pretty good. You know, I think, it's nice to see a sequel to a move. It's like a continuation and not like a reboot or anything like that. It's like just a nice solid sequel to a film, and you got the same cast and you're following their story. I liked how it kind of, first of all, like the dude they meet up with, that's played by, I think his name's Cillian, or Killian, I don't know how you say that name, but Cillian Murphy, I guess I'll say, who played in 28 Days Later, as well as Red Eye and some other movies. I think he's a good actor, and he was a cool sort of dude to kind of, I guess, take over the male character, since obviously John Krasinski, you know what happens to him in the first move. And I like how it kind of shifts to the daughter being sort of the hero character in this one too, because I don't think the mom was like a strong enough person to really hold the movie down, and that's what I thought it was going to be at first. But so there's aspects I like, but at the same time the movie's not nearly as tense as the first one. There's a lot more talking. Even the deaf girl, like, she talks a little bit, and I don't think she did in the first, and they're, you know, whispering a lot, it seems like, and where, like, in this movie, I felt like I could eat my popcorn and not be obnoxious, where in the first one, you were afraid to make a sound, So it's definitely missing some of that intensity there. Overall, though, I did think it was a solid sequel and, follow up to see where their story goes. And I think they said there might be a part 3. I almost feel like they should do like a full-blown prequel for a part 3 if they were going to do that, but I don't know.
Like, I think the kids would be too old at that point.
Oh, yeah.
You almost would have to set this one a couple of years after the first one, because the kids are hitting puberty and stuff.
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, so I like a lot of aspects of this movie. I do think it did a good job continuing the story of the daughter. She's very likable, and you root for her, and you want to see good things happen to her. There is, like, the movie hops between characters a lot, and there are some intense moments in the film, such as like that the lack of oxygen thing that's going on, and a couple of the things, the monsters, close calls with them, and then like the other people they run into, like that. There's some intense stuff in there. The thing that bugged me about the movie was the first film was, and you mentioned it, that was so much more quiet, and it felt like they couldn't make a peep. They make a lot of noise in this one. Like, a lot of noise.
They're, like, knocking a lot of shit over in this one,
yeah,
too.
Making noise all over the place. And it just doesn't feel like it's in the same universe. It doesn't feel like they have to follow the same rules. It seems like they give the characters more creative, or they gave the story more outs to things, and I didn't like that. It was bugging me, but that's typical sequelitis stuff, where it sort of ignores some of the stuff set up for the sake of plot. And I love movies that could, stay grounded into the rules they set. It always annoys me when they break the rules, and I feel like this one is way louder. They talk more. It feels like the creatures take longer to get to them when they make noise than in the first one. One of the best scenes in the first film is when the son makes the noise, and like they're only like 20 foot away or 25 yards away or something from the sun, and it's like those creatures are there in a split second. Now you could say, okay, maybe there were more creatures in that particular area than in other areas, so they still have to travel, of course, so it would make sense that it would take longer if they're further away. But I don't know, it doesn't feel exactly the same, and that kind of bugged me a little bit. And there are some great moments. Like, there's this bear trap scene, which I thought was like just great. It was like, it happens early on in the movie, and I felt like it was really awesome. I kind of feel like they lost a little bit of that family dynamic, because you're watching like two separate stories, really. And like, I don't know if I love that, but overall, I think it's a good follow-up. I don't think it's as strong as the first film, but I was happy with it.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am at as well. I thought it was fine and dandy.
Alright, so what do you want to rate that one?
I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm right with you at a 7.5 out of 10.
I believe I gave the first one an 8. And I only saw that one once, so I would like to rewatch it one day, because it might go up, but yeah.
Just a heads up, guys, if you're noticing some different mic quality and atmosphere, I think I hear a little bit of an echo on my end. It's because we actually had to postpone recording that episode that you just listened to most of it, and finish up a few days later, and I'm currently in a hotel room, so that is why you might notice some audio differences. But anyway, let's move on to our third and final featured review, which is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me. Or is it just Conjuring? Is it Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It? Or is it The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It?
It's The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, but it's not The Conjuring 3. It's just The Devil Made Me Do It.
Well, that's stupid.
I agree.
Was The Conjuring 2 The Conjuring 2?
Yeah, it didn't have a subtitle. It was just The Conjuring 2.
Yeah, so titles aside, this is, I believe, the 8th film in the Conjuring universe. of course, it all kicked off with The Conjuring in 2013. And then it was The Conjuring 2, I believe, in like 2015, I want to say.
I think 16, actually.
16.
I believe.
And then I believe it was Annabelle. And then it was, or did
No, Annabelle came out after The Conjuring.
That's so
unfortunately.
Weird.
Yeah.
So it was The Conjuring, then Annabelle, then The Conjuring 2, then Annabelle Creation, then The Nun?
I think, and then you had...
Curse of La Llorona?
Yes, Curse of Cash Grab Llorona, and what was the other one? Annabelle Comes Home. And those came out the same year.
And then The Conjuring 3. And remember, there was supposed to be The Crooked Man, too, and that just never came to fruition.
Yes, they gave up.
So, this is obviously a pretty big franchise. The weird thing to me is it's approaching 10 years old.
Yeah, that is quite strange.
It makes me feel sick to my stomach.
Yes.
Where has the time gone?
I do not know.
And, so... this pop filter is getting on my nerves because Carly broke my pop filter, so I'm literally holding it in my hand.
JP gave me his microphone, and the pop filter literally fell off when he handed it to me. So he clearly did not have it on there that well, and he's stupid and doesn't know how to put it back on.
Okay,
evidently.
whatever you say. Now I read somewhere the other day that the director of The Curse of La Llorona said that that film actually isn't part of the Conjuring universe.
Well, it's got a... Well, then why'd you put a scene from The Conjuring in it? Like, what do you... What?
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? Because does it have a scene... Which scene does it have?
Sorry, it's a scene... I think it's a scene from Annabelle, and it's literally a second
Isn't it
flashback.
like him carrying the doll or something?
Yeah, to the church, or something. Yeah, it's from Annabelle, I believe. The priest is carrying the Annabelle doll, and he's like, I had this doll. I don't remember, the movie sucked, but yeah, it's legit a scene though from Annabelle, so you can't just pretend that didn't happen.
It's like you can't just put the toothpaste back in the tube, right?
Yeah.
Am I right?
You are right.
Yeah, so it's
and I don't understand the point of even making that claim. Like, why would you not want it to be part of... It's the only credibility you really have going on for you.
Yeah, because, like, I see, like, everybody doing their Conjuring rankings, ranking all 8 Conjuring films from worst to best. And then, like, the same, like, day, like, this guy comes out and says... The Curse of La Llorona is not officially part of the Conjuring universe. Let me see what it says here. The Curse of La Llorona director Michael Chavis, whose work on that film led to him directing The Conjuring Devil. It's the same director as The Conjuring Devil Made Me Do It. So, according to Chavez, The Curse of La Llorona is not a Conjuring movie. The very simple reason why La Llorona isn't part of the Conjuring universe is because it was made without one of the Conjuring producers, so technically it cannot be fully embraced. Chavez explained. That's the very simple reason. Originally there was only supposed to be a playful nod to the Conjuring franchise by putting the father in and having Annabelle flash, but it wasn't supposed to be marketed that way. The plan was you would get into it and then you'd be like, oh my god, they're connected. We weren't from the beginning supposed to be doing that, and that's why it was this outsider status. But as the character La Llorona is outside herself, I think it fits. It's a tricky situation. I don't want to give away the trade secrets. The idea was just to have a playful connection to The Conjuring because the myth of La Llorona can stand on its own. But James Wan was on as a producer, and the conversation got started about the Easter egg and kind of got away from itself. People loved the connection, but the Conjuring franchise is created by a team that's been there since the beginning. it's not really right to do unofficial spin-off without the full team. It was just supposed to be a wink and a nod. I completely disagree with this entire thing. So you're telling me because Hellraiser 4, none of the original producers were back, including Clive Barker. It's not a Hellraiser film. It's not part of the franchise, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's hundreds of examples of completely different producers, them buying, I think, Phantasm 2. Well, I guess that would technically, the director would be the same. But, I mean, what do you need? What do you need? 3 people from the original? The whole team? You had James Wan, he produced it. And what do you need? Do you need, 2 to make it work? Do you need 3? Does it have to be everybody that was involved? Because if that's the case, there are no franchises.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with this. You decided to put a wink and a nod and connect the universe, so it's part of the universe, dude. Get over it.
This guy is embarrassed because he's seeing all the rankings, and his move is last on the rankings.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's well, it doesn't even count.
That's what it is. So The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Now, this film, I believe, was supposed to come out last year. Of course, due to COVID, it got pushed back, much like the other 2 films that we talked about. What was your opinion going into this film? Were you excited for it? Were you a big fan of the other films in the franchise? What were you feeling?
I was actually rather excited. I mean, my expectations weren't as high as with especially the first 2 Conjuring films. I think they're great because I knew that a different director had done this one, and
no James Wan. We don't have James Wan on this one.
So, and I knew it was the guy from La Llorona, so that was
you did know that.
I did. I knew it was because I knew that was why everyone was ugh, thinking it was going to be horrible going into it. But I still went in thinking, whatever. They got the cast back at least. You have your former ego, obviously, and Patrick Wilson. It's not it's going to be that level of shit where there's just nothing to it. And I like the Conjuring movies, and for the most part, I do enjoy the spin-offs. So I was pretty, I was excited going into it. It's almost getting excited for how you're excited for a Saw movie every time it comes out. For me, it's I am excited for a Conjuring film. So yeah, I went in happy.
I'm not the biggest fan of the franchise, but the thing that I like about the movies is they feel big. It's oh, we're going to put a bunch of money into the horror film. You know what I mean? And The Conjuring 1 and 2 to me feel those feel the big ones. And then the spin-offs are kind of a little cheaper, and they're they're still good to different degrees, but they don't feel as massive. It's I guess it's sort of when you think of the Marvel universe, right? You have your Thor movies and your Incredible Hulk movie, and then they come all together after 4 or 5 movies come out, and they do an Avengers film. Now, I don't really care for those movies all that much, but it's how when the new Avengers is coming out, everybody, it's real big, and everybody talks. That's kind of how this feels to me. But I kind of had just I don't know how to explain it, because I do really like The Conjuring 1 and 2 and Annabelle Creation and Annabelle Comes Home and The Nun. I'm one of the only people. The only miss for me was The Curse of La Llorona, and that was I have never seen the original Annabelle 2 as well. So
that one is a miss.
Yeah, I hear that one's
Which
a
is
miss.
That's unfortunate, because that was the second one of the movies in general to come out.
But it's kind of I didn't really think about it. This one kind of snuck up on me, I guess. It was last year when it got announced, I was or when it was supposed to come out last year, I was okay, yeah, I'm really excited to see that. I kept seeing the title for it. And then when it got me excited again when HBO announced that they were doing all these direct to HBO Max things, because at that time I was still thinking the pandemic is still going to be going on and we might not get to theaters. So I was excited to see the titles King Kong versus Godzilla and The Conjuring 3 and all these films. So that got me in Mortal Kombat. That got me pretty hyped. And then like because it took so long from there, I kind of just lost most of my hype for it. And then all of a sudden it like literally just I forgot it was coming out, and it came out, and I was like, let's go see The Conjuring 3 next weekend. And So I didn't really have super high expectations, and to be fair, I didn't really have super high expectations going in anyway, just because I knew like Juan wasn't directing it. It's like the third time we're doing this type of story now. You know what's weird though is there were 3 Annabelle films before 3 Conjuring films.
Yeah, I've thought about that. It is weird.
Yeah, super weird. But okay, so The Conjuring 3. AKA Devil Made Me Do It, which I like that title, by the way.
Yeah.
The Devil Made Me Do It. I like it. It sounds scary. Reminds me like Amityville or something.
Yeah, I feel that.
But yeah, this guy here, he did a bunch of movies I really am not familiar with, and then he did The Curse of La Llorona, whatever. And, wait, double L makes a Y sound, right?
Yep.
La Llorona. Okay. And then this. So, I mean, it kind of, I don't know why they saw The Curse of La Llorona and was like, yeah, this is our guy. Because I feel like most people, like, panned that movie. Like, most people didn't think it was very good.
Yeah.
And that was one where the trailer, like, really, I remember we were like, man, this looks scary as hell. Like, I can't wait to see that. And then we saw it and we're like, you know. But that's pretty much it in terms of his directing gigs. The producer is David Leslie Johnson McGoldrick, and he was a writer on The Conjuring 2 as well as Aquaman, which is weird. And he wrote Orphan back in 2009. So he's done a couple horror things. And yeah, let's get into it. So what's the plot of the Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It?
It is. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren take on one of the most sensational cases of their careers after a cop stumbles upon a dazed and bloodied young man walking down the road. Accused of murder, the suspect claims demonic possession as his defense, forcing the Warrens into a supernatural inquiry unlike anything they've ever seen before.
I don't know if it's like unlike anything they've ever seen before.
Yeah, I thought, they really hyped that up.
It feels, kind of par for the course, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Possessions, demonic entities, stuff like that. Okay, so let's unpack The Conjuring Devil Made Me Do It. First of all, I think the opening is really strong in this one. They start with like an exorcism, basically. And there's like a great nod to The Exorcist like right away, which I thought is really cool. And they it's a scary scene. It's good. I was like, okay, this is starting off pretty well. And then basically the little boy who's possessed, the demon sort of goes into, I guess, his future brother-in-law, because it's the girl. It's his sister's boyfriend, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, we see that, and Patrick Wilson sees that, but he has, like, a heart attack, so he can't really tell everybody that it happens. And we cut later to, like, regular life, like, the demons exercise, like, everything's good, and we find out that, like, Arnie is the one that's possessed, and he commits murder, gets arrested, and it's up to the Warrens to sort of prove demonic possession as the reason for that murder, and it wasn't Arnie. And they start investigating and get wrapped up into a cult, and that's basically your plot. So, what did you think of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It?
Well, I dug the story that it's based upon. I looked it up and it's pretty accurate. It's an interesting story, you know. This guy was the first guy to ever have demonic possession as his defense in court. So I thought that was
Wasn't
neato.
Emily Rose the first person?
This is the first known court case in the United States in which the defense sought to prove innocence based upon the defendant's claim of demonic possession.
And it definitely wasn't the first ever, because they even mentioned in the movie that it happened in the UK twice, I think.
Alright, well, United States then. Alright, anyway. So, I think it's a cool story. I like that you have the Warrens as kind of more of a focus in this film, because I've always really dug Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson's performance as them. I like their chemistry, and I just think it's like this cutesy sort of love story with demons and stuff. But overall, I was a little disappointed with the film. I thought it was definitely, obviously, the weakest of the Conjuring films, and there was aspects I didn't like. I feel like there was it's one of those annoying movies where it's really dark a lot of the time, and that was kind of annoying to me. And then towards the end, you get like this thing with the Warrens that's like this possession type thing, and I didn't really care for that. I thought it was like, a little bit stupid.
Did you catch the Shining reference?
Yeah, yes, I did, actually. I did appreciate that, but...
Yeah, for me personally, I do think this movie is kind of disappointing. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's just not as good as the other two. And I don't know if that would necessarily be disappointing, because it's like I didn't really have super high hopes for it anyway. I guess I was hopeful that it would be, a little bit better, but I kind of expected it to be around here. So I think for me, like, the biggest issue that I have with it is I just don't think that the story was that good. Now, I really like the stuff with Arnie and like his aspect of the story, like when he has that, almost like fever dream where he's dealing with the the possession and the murder and stuff like that. And even when he's like walking down the road and you can see all his veins and his eyes are all messed up, and then he like comes back to reality, like that stuff was really good. And so like early on in this movie, I was like, okay, this is going to be pretty awesome. I think I like where it's going. And then when you start getting into the cult stuff and things, I'm just like, it just feels so by the numbers. There's just not much to the cult. Like, we don't really know much about it. Like, we just know a little bit of backstory about like the cult leader, but it's like very minor, and it's like you could have went into that so much more. There could have been more creepy like cases where they're like trying to investigate this and stuff like that, you know what I mean? Like, they go to the one of the better scenes in the movie is when Vera Farmiga is like using her telekinetic like psychic ability to like revisit a murder scene of this cult, and like you could have did a lot more with that, and like that's where your scares could have came from. But it's like it's so basic, like the way that it all plays out, and like how you learn they build this cult up to be like, oh, this is like a serious cult, they know some real serious shit when it comes to this cult rituals. But it's like kind of tame. Like, they didn't really show much. It's like I didn't really like that. I thought it was, and like what we do get is like this sort of generic hauntings, like fat ghost. It didn't really feel like anything special.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed the stuff with Arnie and that storyline a good bit, and I wanted it to be more focused on that. And the scares in this movie just they're not very effective.
Worse than the series, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I had problems with La Llorona and the scares in there, but there were a few good ones. There was not one scare in this movie that I got scared by. Not one. Not a single one.
Yes.
Unless I'm mistaken. Did I get scared at all?
I don't think so, buddy. I think you did good.
Yeah. I'm growing up. I'm a strong man.
Yeah, little guy.
I'm brave.
Okay, wait, this is cringe.
Shut up. But no, there was no scares for me, and that's why I watch these movies, really. Like, I know, like, people were like grown men and like crossed their arms like, I don't get scared. I haven't been scared since 1962 when I watched Halloween on the couch with my babysitter. You know what I mean? But like, I like to get in the headspace where I'm like,
Halloween didn't come, but hold on, buddy. Halloween didn't come.
Halloween didn't come out in 1962.
Okay.
I'm saying they watched it on cable, dude. And like, but me, like, I can get in that headspace. I can get in that mode. I can get in that mood where I'm like, yeah, scare me, you know, like I want to be scared. I make myself vulnerable. A good example of this was Annabelle Creation. I think that's the scariest movie in the entire Conjuring franchise.
Yeah, me too, and it still is pretty scary watching it back.
I was just like, man, this. I remember in the theater, like, just being like, ooh, like, just being like, yo, this is. I was like so happy, like I was just smiling that I was like jumping and stuff, like, and I know people like lose interest in that as they get older when it comes to horror, but like, that's the roots, baby. Like, that's where I got into it at. That's what it was all about for me, was the scares, you know. So I still try to hold on to that as long as I can. And I'll probably be like a 70-year-old man, like, jumping at Annabelle 10 in the theater, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, no scares in this one. That's quite disappointing. The positive aspect of this one for me, though, is the Warrens. While I was watching it, I was just like, man, I could literally watch, like, 10 more of these. Like, even this one that's not that great, I'm still hopeful that, like, the next story could be really cool, right? Like, because obviously these are based on real people and real hauntings and stories and stuff like that. I mean, most people think it's completely bullshit, and, you know, like, I'm not going to argue with anybody on it. Like, I think that it's mostly bullshit, too. But, you know, there's a little bit in the back of your mind that thinks, like, well, maybe, like, some weird shit might have happened, you know what I mean? So it's, like, kind of cool to think about that. I know that, like, my friend Tom from Horror's Ball is, like, a huge hater of the Warrens. Like, just can't stand them and can't stand these movies because of, like, I think I read you that post. He said, like, they exploited vulnerable people their whole lives and profited on it and stuff like that. So there are people that really hate the Warrens, and I think also just, like, organized religion as a whole. So, what's that?
I said yes.
But me, I'm like, I don't care. I think it's, like, cool. I think it's, like, cool, you know, if it's fiction, if it's whatever it is, I think it's cool, you know?
Yeah.
I think that these people, these characters played by Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson, are, like, way cooler than the Warrens, right? Like, if you ever watch the actual Warrens, they're kind of boring, you know?
Yeah.
But these people are, like, cool, you know? They're it's like, it's Hollywood, it's fiction, you know? It's dramatization, it's padded for effect and things like that. So it's a movie. And I like that about it. I think they're great movie characters. Now, whether they're people in real life, you know, I don't really care, you know, but I find it interesting. If anything, I find it interesting that they were involved in so many of these famous hauntings. Like, that's kind of cool, right? Because regardless of if they were phonies or not, they still were involved in so many of, like, the biggest, like, historical, like, haunting cases and stuff like that.
Yes, and I don't see why they would waste their entire lives pretending to be into ghosts, but whatever.
Like, do you think that, okay, like, because there's two thoughts right there, right? Like, there's, well, they did it for the money, right?
Yeah, but I just, like, when did it start? Like, you just one day woke up and was like, hey, honey, let's pretend that we can see ghosts and, like, can
right, and that's kind of where I wonder if, like, they believed it themselves, right? Like they could have been in it for the money and still believed all the stuff, or they could have been completely phony and didn't believe any of the stuff. So I do wonder, like, sort of which one it was. But either way, I think that it's neat. I think that the whole history of them and the like cases, like, because I didn't even know this was based on a case, like a real case, you know what I mean? Because, like, obviously I know Annabelle is like kind of based on a haunted doll, but it's like the movies just went and did, like, the Annabelle creation is not based on any story, right? It's just a
yeah.
But, like, I actually expected, like, the future of the Conjuring films to kind of be like this, you know?
Yes.
Or sorry, like Annabelle creation, but I was actually surprised when you told me that, because I think there's a scroll in it that says, like, you know, gives an update on it or whatever, and I was like, was this based on something too? Like an actual, I thought it might have been loosely based on, like, oh, there was a guy who might have been possessed or something and they talked to him, but, like, apparently, like, it's based on, like, obviously, like, the whole cult thing is probably like the movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, the demonic possession aspect is like,
the whole
based on a
thing,
real case.
Yes, like an 11-year-old, they did an exorcism on him, and they said that the demon went into Arnie. That was real, and then the whole case was real. The whole outcome, he only got charged for manslaughter of his landlord. I think I read they like went out to the bar or something, and they were both drunk, and then he ended up stabbing him to death or something like that. So that's like a little bit different in the movie, obviously, but yeah, so he got 10 years for manslaughter, and then he got out in 5 years for good behavior. So.
And did he, like, live the rest of his life, like, cool, or did he stab more people?
Yeah, he lived the rest of his life cool, I believe. He got married to that girl, and that was, like, the end of that. So.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I'll say that. Like, it's fascinating to me. I think it's cool. I think it's neat. I would really watch, like, a Conjuring movie every year. Like, maybe not a mainline Conjuring film, but a Conjuring universe film every year. Like, let's do, like, you know, another Annabelle next year, and then another Conjuring film, and then, like, maybe, like, another spin-off, and then another Conjuring film. Like, I could do that every year, because I just think I like the universe. Like, I like what they're doing with it. It's funny how, like, Annabelle has become, like, the face of it, though. Like, even more than the Conjuring and the Warrens, because, like, I feel like one of the biggest moments in the movie is when they mention Annabelle, and then there's, like, a little cameo of Annabelle in there too. You know what I mean? And it's like, I feel like those are like moments. You know what I mean? It's funny. And even The Nun. Like, I loved The Nun. I know a lot of people didn't. I watch it. I've only seen it that once, but I just think back on it and I'm like, man, like, I wish more people really liked that like I did. I thought it was so cool. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all I have to say.
Yes, that is it.
You're good?
I am good. It is mid-dick, and I am good.
Right. All right, so we didn't do letterbox reviews for any.
It's okay.
Kind of forgot about that. All right, no letterbox reviews. But what are you gonna rate old Conjuring The Devil Made Me Do It?
Honestly, I'm not super high on it. It was a little disappointing, and I mean, I would rewatch it, but it's not one of the ones that I would run back and rewatch. So I was only at a 6 out of 10 on it.
Wow, that's low. That's really low. That surprises me. I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right.
I think it's a 7.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't too, especially like towards the, like when it really got down to the nitty gritty, I just wasn't too into it, like where the story goes and everything, and some of the aspects of it, and the fact that the scares weren't that scary.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but
so you
I
liked it about
rewatch
as much as Spiral then?
Yeah, I guess so. I think I might have liked Spiral a little bit more.
Wow, that actually surprised me because you don't like Saw, really.
Yeah, I mean, Spiral I found entertaining, I guess, but I do think it had more flaws than The Conjuring 3, so it's kind of hard to really even compare them. But it's like different reasons.
There was also a little bit of a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 shout out.
With what?
Was it Part 4? Yeah, Joey. The waterbed.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
See, that's the first thing I think of anytime I see a waterbed in a horror film. But I thought, well, it's probably just a waterbed scene. But no, the director actually said that it was inspired by Elm Street 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were just like.
So I thought that was cool. I thought that was cool. Okay, for me, I gave it a 7. I think that it's pretty solid. It's fine. It's good. I don't think it's great. It's good. Let me ask you this though: how do you rank the Conjuring films? Worst to best?
Let me think. I think I like Annabelle Creation. Oh wait, you said worst to best.
Yes, worst to best.
Okay. So it would go. I think it would go La Llorona, whatever. Then it would go the first Annabelle. Then it would go probably this one at this point. And then I guess The Nun. Then The Conjuring 2, The Conjuring 1, and Annabelle Creation is my favorite.
All right.
Oh wait, I forgot about Annabelle Comes Home. Oh.
You're bad at this. You're bad at this.
Well, shut up. No, don't interrupt me. I probably like Annabelle Comes Home a little bit more than The Conjuring Part 2, so that would probably be my number 3.
All right, here's mine. The worst is The Curse of La Llorona. Now, keep in mind, I haven't seen the original Annabelle, so I'm not ranking that one. Then I would go The Conjuring 3. And then I would go Annabelle Comes Home. And then I would go The Conjuring 2. And then I would go The Nun. And then The Conjuring. And then Annabelle Creation. Boom.
It bothers me that you haven't seen Annabelle. I feel like that makes you, like, not real. Not a real fan.
Well, I just heard nothing but bad things about it. And I actually said, like, next time a Conjuring film comes out, I'm going to run through the whole series. But I was going to do it in chronological order, right? So, like, The Nun would be first. And then, like, Annabelle Creation. And like go through like the order of like the storyline.
Yes.
But this one kind of snuck up on me, and I just didn't get to it. And I'm always busy as hell watching other stuff, so it's like I'd feel like I was doing like cheating if I went and it'd be like irresponsible if I was watching all the Conjuring movies when I should be watching 1970 films.
They're all like 2 hours long.
I know, that too, right? I did throw in Conjuring 1 the night before we went and seen it. I just fell right to sleep, so.
Yes. Fair enough.
Yeah. Alright, well, I guess that's it for episode number 64. I don't know if anything's coming out, like, I guess the next one would be either The Purge. The next theatrical would be The Purge, or what's the Escape Room 2, I think. Does that come out in June?
I think so.
Yeah, I can't really remember what all's coming out. I just love that these horror films are doing well. You know what I mean? It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do we got here? Okay. The Sublet. Was that a movie?
I don't know, buddy.
Doesn't look like there's much here in June. Yeah, I'm not seeing everything's like limited in June.
Well, you know what they say. It's time for me to hit the hay.
Yeah, I think it's the Forever Purge is like the next theatrical film, which kind of sucks a little bit.
Yes.
Because I thought it looked pretty bad.
Yeah, it did.
And don't be yawning.
Buddy, come on.
All right, yeah. I told you it was only going to take like 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's been like an hour. You're deciding like now at the end of this 4-hour show.
We could also talk about Cruella next week, maybe.
Yeah, we'll talk about Cruella.
Why are you? What's going on here?
You keep going Quella.
I'm not saying Quella.
Yeah.
Quella lives down on 3rd Street.
What?
Quella, down on 3rd Street.
I don't know who that is, buddy, but okay.
You know, Quella Brown.
I don't get it. I don't care.
There's nothing to get. I'm just telling you where she lives.
I don't know who she is.
She's just like an older black lady.
Okay, dude. Like, I don't know 3rd Street.
She holds her eye open with one hand.
What?
I'm not even joking. Like, she takes her fingers and her eyelid doesn't work. So she has to hold it open. I'm not joking.
That's stupid.
Her name's not Quella. It's like something like that I can't remember. Anyway, Cruella.
Yeah.
Cruella.
We'll do that next.
Alright, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Alright, everybody. Thanks for listening to the show. I guess I'll just say goodbye. So, goodbye, everybody.
Alright, that's it. What?